get somebody to buy right now? Who's been in the business before the internet days? Who's been in the business more than 10 years? Okay, some of you were in high school, it looks like. Okay, that's good. Here's what it was like back in the olden days. You know, Mark, can you believe we're old enough to be olden days guys now?
Don't remind me.
Back in the olden days, there was no access to properties for the public. They couldn't go get online and see everything that was for sale. That is the single worst thing that's happened to our industry, you know, from the buy side, is that they can go look at way too much. It's almost had so much information, they're dangerous. What did we do before the public started being the realtor instead of us? Because that's what, well, hold on a second. What we did before we let them be the boss, that's what I wanted to make sure you caught. What we did before they were the boss of the transaction and told us what they wanted to see, what we did is we pulled out that old MLS book, or we had MLS on the computer, they just didn't have it on the internet. And what we did is we looked at the inventory and we picked out the homes that we thought were the best homes for the money. What are the best homes in the price range? There was a service we used to provide buyers, and that was the fact that they don't have to drive into every open house. They don't have to call off of every sign. They don't have to respond to every ad. We have access to all the homes that are available. The MLS was the main reason people used a realtor, but because there were 47 homes that we had access to, didn't mean we showed 47. We showed 10, 12 of the best properties, and they always bought one of them because they couldn't get confused by, you know, 57 others they might want to look at. So here's a question. If I was going to move to Columbus and I was going to work with any one of you as my buyer's representative, and I said, hey, listen, I am too busy to look at a bunch of homes, but I trust you guys because you're the Rains group. I'm going to look at 5 homes and that's it. I'm going to spend $500,000, 5 properties. I don't want to look at 6. You figure out which are the 5 best homes for $500,000 in the New Albany area, and I'll buy one of them, I promise. Do you think you could figure out relatively quickly what the 5 best homes are? Yeah. You probably wouldn't even need to preview. You could probably pull the MLS up and it's immediately obvious which ones are the biggest, the newest, and the best values. So here's a question. If I don't buy one of those 5, what were the chances I was going to buy any of the others? I mean, you got to say to yourself, if they don't buy one of the 5 best, Bob needs to spend $600,000 then. Because if you don't like these 5 for $500,000, what you're going to find is not going to be any better. You're in the wrong price range. So you either have to lower your expectations or consider spending more to get what you're looking for. You know, showing you more homes isn't going to somehow make it more appealing. These are the 5 best in the price range. So the first thing we have to realize is this is what we used to do. You know, and then in order to make sure they knew what the 5 best were, we'd show them the 5 most overpriced listings first so they could establish some value. It wasn't that we were trying to trick anybody. It's, if these are the 5 best, let me show you 5 like these that aren't such great deals. So, you know, these 5, you know, they're all around 500,000. Well, these 5 are just like those for 540. So after I look at a few of these, you know, that are 540 and 530 and 550, now I look at a couple of these that are 500, 499, 479. The seller, the buyer can see that there's an amazing value here. You know that it is because that's how you pick the properties to begin with. You've given them some perspective. Watch, if they don't want to buy one of these, then they need to spend more money. And we need to know that going in. So listen, Mr. Buyer, here's what I'm going to do. One of the services that we provide is that we are going to identify, for your time's sake, the best 5 or 6 properties in your price range. The 5 or 6 that are worth the most, the 5 or 6 are the best financial values, the 5 or 6 that are the biggest, the newest, the ones with the most features and benefits. I'm going to show you the best 5 or 6 homes that money can buy up to $500,000, which was your price point. Then I'm also going to show you 5 or 6 properties that will establish some perspective so that you can have a feel for just what great values one of the top 5 or 6 are going to be. And in most cases, you're going to want to make an offer on one of the better homes. So let me ask you a question, Tim. If we find the perfect home in your price range and it's a great value, you know, are you guys in a position where you can make an offer on that property before somebody else does? Are you guys ready to go?
Yep.
Good. So I'm going to show you the best 5 homes in the price range on Saturday. I'm sure one of them is going to work. We'll go ahead and get you a property. You know, I mean, that's my job, isn't it, to sell real estate? If you're not ready to buy a home, I have no problem following up with you until you are. What I don't want to do is show you 50 different homes only because you really don't want to buy right now and you just kind of like looking at homes because at some point you might want to buy. So, how do we get them to buy faster? We first of all have to preemptively talk about the fact that we're going to show them the best homes in the price range. I have no problem saying to Tim, if you don't buy one of the top 5 or 7 homes that I'm going to show you, there's a really good chance that you're in the wrong price range. That you may need to spend more in order to get what you're looking for, or you might have to deal with the reality that you're not going to be able to get quite as much home as you'd hoped for. Because I'm going to show you the best 5 or 7 homes that money can buy up to $500,000. Well, before we do that, I'll show you 3 or 4 homes that'll give you some perspective so you can see what the majority of the inventory looks like at that price point. And if we can find just the right property, we'll go ahead and get it under contract before somebody else does. So I'm going to explain to them up front what I'm doing. It doesn't do me any good or you any good to go look at 100 different homes. All that's going to do is confuse you even more. But more importantly, it's not that I'm not willing to show them another 10. It's if I've just shown the 5 that I know are the best, well, showing them another 10 is not necessarily service I'm providing. I need to start asking questions about what their expectation levels are like because, what are the chances we're going to find something better? At this point, now you just want to randomly go out and look at homes and hope something speaks to you. Because these are the properties that are the most value in your price range. And we get them talking, we start insisting that, they talk to us about what they're thinking. We might find out we don't have a buyer. That's possible too, just like we don't have a seller. We got a guy in the back seat and we're looking at houses, but they're not willing to buy. So, strategically speaking, tell them what you're going to do up front. Show 3 or 4 normal overpriced listings that represent the typical listings that aren't going to sell, and then show the same 3 or 4 homes you'd show me if I was willing to buy one of them and I just asked you to pick out the best 5, and then know that if they don't buy one of those, you got issues, and you need to start dealing with those issues, with the buyer, not, from the standpoint of a commission, but from a standpoint of what they're looking for. But you see, when you go about it this way, you got that sense of I'm doing something, I'm accomplishing something, and if they don't want the best, what makes me think they're going to want something less than the best? I'm confused at this point. These are the best homes for the money.